Breaking news coming out of St. Louis Park, a car going into a pond with kids inside. Short time ago, police left the scene, but look what was left behind. St. Paul police are now responding to our story about an investigation. The city of St. Paul making some changes starting tomorrow. If you don't follow those changes, you could get one of these. The Wheelock Parkway Bridge and the Arlington Avenue Bridge both have to come down. For the next several months, season ticket holders will be coming here to consider different pricing plans. Winning it could be a real long shot. Millions of people will see pay raises, but it could be at the expense of some jobs here. It's actually happening in Michigan. The state is installing these talking urinal deodorizer cakes, hoping to keep the drunks off of the road. Out at a bar, the women aren't talking to you, but at least the urinal
is. Yeah. Who's here for Bradsattin today?
I detected it. Back to our breaking news right now that we've been tracking out of St. Louis Park off of Highway 7 and Highway 100. Reports of kids in a car that plunged into a pond at the Cloverleaf there. This is the scene that Rusty's been monitoring for a while. Let us go on the phone right now with Catherine Johnson. Catherine, you are at the scene right now. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Brad,
All right, so again, this happening at this point over an hour ago. That scene still active there. Catherine saying that no divers are in the water right now, but they may have pulled as many as 4 children out. We do not have any indication of their condition, although our photographer on the scene, Jeff Ganol, reporting a little while ago, he saw 3 of the kids being pulled out, appeared to be lifeless, and were taken to the hospital. So we are going to check back with Catherine very shortly to get an update on this. Again, that State Patrol news conference going to be getting started very shortly.
Yeah, a lot of emergencies.
And we are looking at this video that was shot just a short time ago. It looks like that maybe they're standing on top of the car, or is it just not that deep? But clearly we can't see the car, the vehicle in these pictures here, but we see the divers who appear to be
only about waist deep.
Welcome back. As you know, for about an hour and a half now, we've been following this breaking news coming out of St. Louis Park, a car going into a pond with kids inside.
We do have team coverage inside.
Are we hearing anything about the conditions of the 3 we know, at least 3, that were taken to the hospital?
We don't know.
We are continuing to follow some breaking news out of St. Louis Park. This for about 2.5 hours now. A car went into a pond with children inside. We know a mother and 5 children were inside the vehicle at the time when this happened, around 6 o'clock this morning. We have crews standing by for a news conference from St. Louis Park that is expected to happen at 9 o'clock in about 35 minutes. This is 7 westbound to northbound 100. Happened when it was dark. The kids were all in the car. We understand that CPR was performed on them when they were brought out. We don't know the condition of the 5 children. Again, we're hearing the mom is okay. We'll continue to update you as we get more information. Let us go over now to Rusty with how the traffic scene is there. It is a mess, obviously, on a lot of the roads here. This is one of them, especially in cases where there are cars on both sides of the road. It's really tough for emergency vehicles to get through. As a result of that, the city of St. Paul making some changes starting tomorrow. If you don't follow those changes, you could get one of these. You are in violation. You think you have it rough, squeezing your car with inches to spare between all the others through these narrow snowbank-filled streets? Have you had any moment where you said, uh-oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, try being Patrick Thompson and driving this rig.
It's the worst I've seen it.
This St. Paul firefighter makes about a dozen calls a day, and if fighting a fire is one battle, the other is just getting to it.
We need space. We just don't have it.
And considering a house fire can double in size in 30 seconds, delays of minutes are a matter of life and death, says the mayor.
We're getting to the point where public safety is being impacted.
Here it is, the end of February, and already we've gotten more snow than we normally get in an entire winter. The depth of the snow, the highest in 32 years. Just too much for every street to be plowed curb to curb. So starting Saturday, the city of St. Paul will do what Minneapolis just started doing, toughening the parking rules. No more parking on the even-numbered sides of streets in residential areas. Park only on the odd-numbered sides. Now, this doesn't apply to non-residential streets, and if it does snow again, all the regular snow emergency rules will still apply. Through the weekend, cars parked on the even sides will get warnings. Starting Monday, they'll be towed.
It's going to help us out quite a bit. It's going to make the medics' jobs a lot easier, fire's jobs a lot easier. It'll be good for everyone.
Well, good for everyone. Unless you get one of these, you are in violation or possibly a tow. Again, the tows will start on Monday. Now, it's kind of interesting. We have an interactive map on our website where you guys actually type in your address, find out exactly where and where not to park.
The average person has 26 online accounts.
That is a lot of accounts. So here's a question for you. If something happened to the person you love the most, could you find those accounts or even their passwords? Well, as you're about to see, two families tell us there is certain information we all should be dying to share.
Our honeymoon, day number 1 for us.
Dale Jensen in Mexico with his wife, Patty.
Having the time of my life.
Documenting their new lives together, a marriage that would not last long.
Where's Mom, huh? Where did Mom go?
4 years after that, Dale got a phone call at work.
It was her saying, I think I'm having a heart attack.
He rushed home to find his 46-year-old wife had died.
At 11 o'clock, we were joking and talking on email about a vacation that we're going to take that summer. And 3 hours later, I'm planning our funeral.
Like many couples, Dale and Patty figured they had a lifetime to have that end-of-life talk.
You don't think about it. You don't say, gosh, we need a will because I might die tomorrow.
When suddenly,
you're constantly sort of getting, clubbed over the head with, yeah, she's dead, yeah, she's dead, yeah, she's dead.
That's because they never really planned for it. Patty just never got around to putting Dale's name on her bank accounts, car loan, or investments. And even the software engineer couldn't crack her passwords.
What's her PIN? I don't know. You never ask people that. It's a 4-digit number she probably chose when she was 20 years old.
Suddenly, everything became too real.
Once you're gone, nobody can ever ask you anything ever again.
Today would have been his birthday. He would have been 85 today.
John and Gail Nafziger were married 17 years when last winter, despite Gail's protests, John went outside to shovel an inch of snow.
He came in and said, "You were right, I shouldn't have shoveled."
The 84-year-old suffered a heart attack and died. In the blur that followed, Gail took some comfort in knowing their affairs were in order.
We had discussed it many times. In fact, we had pre-planned funerals. We had a trust.
The trust itself was over 100 pages and made clear who got what. Meticulously prepared and often reviewed. If something were to happen, they were ready. Or so she thought. You thought you were set up?
Absolutely. We didn't. We were not.
Several lawyers and realtors later, Gail is still sorting things out, blaming the mess on one attorney's really bad advice.
Their main thing was, do not tell your children what you're doing. This turned out to be probably the worst advice I've ever had in my life.
It left Gail and her daughter feuding with other family members.
From the minute it happened to today, she's not really had a moment to grieve for him.
If their stories had you saying, I don't want that happening to my family, it had me saying the same thing. So I asked estate planning attorney Jody Cohen-Press to come by and help me sort out what I needed to know about my own parents.
Do they have life insurance? Do they have annuities? Do they have retirement plans? Do they have long-term care insurance? That's a big issue.
I didn't exactly pass her quiz, so she gave me some homework.
You said your parents are having their 50th anniversary?
We're throwing them a big party. She told me to fly home and enjoy that 50th anniversary party. But after the cake was cut and the last song played, to sit down with my mom, dad, and brother and get some answers. But where do you even start? You guys had a good time at your 50th?
Fabulous.
In the off chance there's not a 100th, I thought we needed to talk.
Okay.
I'm ready.
We never had any of this conversation. How come?
It's a tough talk because you don't want to think about that time.
You don't think about that time.
No, she's right. She's absolutely right.
If something were to happen to one of you, the other knows where all the passwords are, knows the bank accounts, knows all the information. The other's ready to go? Or?
Not exactly.
Mom says she is, but Dad?
Mom always has taken care of all the details.
So if she lands in the hospital or even worse...
He's in bad shape.
Who's the executor? Who's in charge if something happens?
You are, honey.
Why is this news to me?
I thought you knew it.
And it turns out I may not even be the best choice, according to our probate lawyer.
You live in Minnesota,
right?
And they live across the country.
Yes.
How will you manage that? How are you going to do that?
Do I call you? I'm suddenly starting to feel maybe we're not ready. So armed with 10 questions all adult kids should ask their parents, I delivered them rapid fire to my mom and dad. You just give me yes or no, we're ready. Healthcare directive?
Yes.
Power of attorney?
Yes.
Hesitation?
Hesitation because I'm still thinking about it.
Will?
Yes.
Trusts funded?
No.
Life insurance? 401ks?
Yes.
IRAs?
Yes.
Long-term care insurance? When was the last time you looked at this stuff? As for online passwords, are they written down in a secure place?
Yes.
Do you know where that secure place is?
No.
I couldn't help but notice between the guys, my dad, brother, and me, we didn't know much.
I'm learning as much as they are.
Isn't it funny that she's doing all the answering?
Well, probably not so funny.
Cohen Press says that's not all that unusual.
One parent may have paid the bills throughout the marriage, and one may have been in charge of taking out the garbage throughout the marriage. And whichever one dies first, either taking out the garbage is going to be a horrible event, or balancing the checkbook and paying bills will be difficult.
By now, can you guess who does what in this relationship?
I do the trash.
And my mom, the checkbook. So it turns out, even if the one person who controls the money is convinced she's prepared, but no one else is, there's a pretty good chance no one's prepared.
You and I have to have some conversation about this.
I agree.
There's a lot of voids here on my part.
It's good to have a meeting. It really is good to have a meeting and be able to talk about it.
Yes, it is. Sometimes just getting everybody together is the hardest part. Well, we do encourage you to have that meeting to talk about it. We have all kinds of resources, including the top 10 questions to ask your parents or any loved one, really, online. You can get a lot of information by going to KSTP.com right now. There sure is a lot of slicing, pouring, stirring, flipping, tasting, and judging going on.
All in all, that dessert's stellar.
At the Pro Start Invitational, 10 groups of high school students hoping to measure up to become the top cooking team in the state. And talk about a pressure cooker.
It's very nerve-wracking, I can tell you.
Each team has 60 minutes starting from scratch and using their own ingredients.
2 minutes, team. 2 minutes.
To come up with a salad or appetizer.
I've always thought appetizers should be seafood.
An entree.
1 minute.
And dessert. Spending the entire school year practicing for this 1 hour.
3, 2, 1, time.
Hands up.
Inspired, many are quick to admit, by what they see on TV.
Hell's Kitchen.
What is that?
Nobody's going to do that here to these guys.
Thanks to those food shows, the 18 judges are surprised what kids actually know.
I have young 16, 17-year-olds coming up to me going, I'd like to use truffles.
Some things work.
3 of the desserts that I've seen so far I would put on my menu.
Others not so much.
That's my fault, take responsibility.
But what happens on these butane burners is just part of what it takes to be a chef. They're also judged on their non-cooking skills, like how's the menu look and how much for that dessert?
A $15 dessert? That seems kind of high.
Still, this Elk River team took the title and celebrated in style with a sandwich and Doritos. In Mounds View, bradsattin, 5 Eyewitness News. Well, helping when it is needed the most. Some local volunteers with the Salvation Army about to hit the road.
Right now they are heading.
Law enforcement and community leaders are teaming up today looking for ways to try to stop young Somali men in our area from being recruited by terrorists. Now, the threat involves the al-Qaeda-linked terror group Al-Shabaab. Panel is going to be holding a seminar in Bloomington today to examine how local men are being recruited, what can be done to stop it, and the lessons learned following that shopping mall attack in Kenya back in September. Al-Shabaab is claiming responsibility for that 4-day siege that killed 67 people. The FBI is looking into some evidence that trained terrorists are doing their prep work right here in the U.S. Take a look at this FBI surveillance video of an admitted al-Qaeda terrorist who already killed American soldiers in Iraq. But this video was taken not overseas, but in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Authorities saying he is one of 2 al-Qaeda members who were able to come into the U.S. because of a flawed system of background checks that didn't pick up their terrorist pasts.
The system failed in the first place.
The 2 men in Kentucky were recently arrested when one of the men's fingerprints was found on a bomb planted in Iraq back in 2005. The U.S. has a storage warehouse of tens of thousands of other unexploded bombs that were confiscated over the years. Experts are now examining those bombs, hoping to match more fingerprints. Some new details this morning about that shooting that happened at the Los Angeles airport recently that killed a TSA agent. Coroner's report now says that Gerardo Hernandez died within 5 minutes of being shot. Investigators were looking into whether paramedics could have possibly saved him had they gotten to him faster. It took first responders 33 minutes to get him into an ambulance and on his way to the hospital. More details about his death are expected to be released in the next couple of days. It's the release of the city's 97 sampler, one of the few CDs nationwide people will wait in line for. Lots of them already are lining up at this Target. This is in Edina. Got the bands playing, music going. The doors, though, are still locked. There are only 40,000 copies available. They cost $33. There are 33 songs on 2 discs this year. It's the 25th volume of the CD, featuring artists like Capital Cities and Matt Hires. CDs go on sale at 8 o'clock this morning, so in about an hour and 45 minutes. As always, the proceeds go to charity.